It's Russ Curtis. I am a counseling professor and licensed clinical mental health counselor, and I wanted to talk today about a study that we published in 2009 about the use of prayer and meditation in counseling and psychotherapy. So first, let's begin with religion or spirituality. We should say and or spirituality. These are not necessarily the same, okay? And so there's a lot of this work, if you are a practicing professional, to where you need to identify your own beliefs and possible biases or misunderstandings and so forth. So it's really important to recognize that spirituality isn't necessarily a part of religion. And you could be innately tapped in, spirituality for you might be being in nature or listening to your intuition and that quiet voice that gives guidance and so forth. So you get to define that, but it's an ongoing kind of lifelong thing for practicing psychotherapists and professionals. And I will tell you that folks that practice for a while, I suspect, and I hear it from folks, is that they become more intuitive. They learn to pay attention to that quiet voice, regardless of what label they put on it. It's important for you to also identify, if you do follow religion or spirituality, are you more, this would be on a continuum, more fear-based or love-based? Is it more that this, you have to be scared into, behaving well, or is this more about serving others and being kind and also practicing good boundaries, but being of service to others? So always, these aren't questions that you have to have definite answers for, but there's things to ask yourself if you're going to consider using this. And clients don't need to know whether you're doing this or not. So we'll talk a little bit more about that. At the intake, it is a good question to ask. Among all the other things you're asking about, medical history, education, family history, and so forth, is prayer and or meditation important to clients? And it can be a yes or no question. Allow clients to say no. There's also spiritual abuse. There's people that feel like they've been abused by their past religious and spiritual members or values and so forth. So you have to be open to this. Bugental, kind of an existential therapist, always would do a moment of silence prior to the session, just to allow people to be centered and grounded in the present moment before beginning, to talk about their issues. I do this in class, but that might be something, it depends on the client. Some clients will not be, amenable to that. So this is something to ask if that would be helpful, even if it's just one breath. Now, you could do it without client's permission. It's just recognize that, oh, wow, somebody's coming in. I'm just going to take a breath so that I can be fully focused and be grounded and present, so I'm more fully available for folks. And that's kind of a practice that you need to develop if you're wanting to use some of these types of techniques. With meditation, now this is interesting, and I know that there was a study published. I think I've got it cited in our positive psychotherapy study, to where clients rated counselors who were meditating higher in terms of their effectiveness and client rapport, and they did not know. So it was a blind study. They did not know if their counselors were meditating or not, but the meditating counselors were rated higher. Okay, so it's like you don't have to say a word if you're using meditation or prayer or what have you. You don't have to say a word. It may show through just that your presence and availability to the clients are there. Now, with meditation, there's different types. I'm just giving you a few here that do academic research. Transcendental meditation, which is typically with advanced practitioners, they'll be doing more than this, but it's 2 times 20 minutes of meditation a day, once in the morning, once before dinner or before bed. There's typically kind of an assigned mantra taught by a leader that the person is using to help quiet the mind. The Maharishi was saying, hey, the folks here in the Western world need a mantra because we're such a doing, industrious, we value industry and doing, and so our minds are so busy that we need a mantra in order to focus and to get into some type of beyond thought. It's not necessarily silence, but beyond thought. Now, Herb Benson, the medical doctor, studied the relaxation response and found that you don't need a mantra from a trained professional. It could be one that you use and you've picked out, such as on each exhale saying one, or Om, or Amen, or Let Go. You get to choose it, what feels right for you, but also doing this about the same pace, 2 times 20 minutes, twice a day. Now, mindfulness practice, there's a lot of great research. I want to say there's some really cool research with transcendental meditation and violence reduction. The belief is that when enough people get together to meditate at the same time, it's actually putting good vibration into the atmosphere. Maybe what we would call the collective unconscious, that Jung would call the collective unconscious, perhaps what physicists would call the unified field. So I highly recommend looking into some of the transcendental meditation research, but clearly the mindfulness research is in terms of breadth and depth, is some of the strongest behavioral research we have. I would say more so than even cognitive behavioral therapy. So look into that, and mindfulness is about building the mindfulness muscle to where we can, if you will, get into your hot air balloon and look at all the thoughts that you're having without engaging in the thoughts. So it's becoming aware. I like to tell people with mindfulness that it's not about necessarily relaxation, although it can feel that way at times, but it is about building that awareness muscle so that you more easily pick out when you're really focused on the negative, and then you get to choose what you want to focus upon. Okay, and there's some great books out there. I've recommended these and other videos. Jon Kabat-Zinn clearly is, a leading researcher in the field and speaks a lot. You can find a lot of his videos on YouTube. Also, just at the end of the day, whether it's prayer, meditation, or whatever you use, just to release, kind of the energy of the day of seeing clients. It can be very stressful. It can be traumatizing to hear traumatizing stories. So whatever that might be for you, whether it's more smudging or, washing your face, showering, using some type of, whatever works for you to let go of the day. All right, the other thing is, the last thing I just want to say is this was, published by myself and a colleague, Robertson, and you can access the full journal if you would like to. Okay, I hope this is helpful. Let me know, and I will talk to you on the next video. Take care.